What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Memorial Day, May 25th, 2026. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter based out of upstate New York here and proprietor of this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder, where I bring individuals on to talk about their why and get to know them outside of the occupation. I got a very special guest that's on with me today, as she is based out of Arkansas as a news photographer for ABC's 40/29. But she also did work in Albuquerque, New Mexico as well. Her name is Shelby Wyatt. And we're going to be talking to her about her why of getting into journalism, but we're also going to ask her some get-to-know-you questions. So without any further ado, I introduce to you the wonderful and the talented Shelby. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for coming on, Shelby. I really do appreciate it. And listen, this is going to be a fun one. And the first question that I have for you is the same as it always is for everybody that hops on this thing, and that is, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Did you have any role models or any inspirations maybe growing up? But ultimately, what is your why for wanting to get into the journalism industry as a photographer?
Well, I think my why just comes down to storytelling. I've always been interested in storytelling. I had kind of a unusual path to a journalism career, as we'll say. I didn't always know that I wanted to be a journalist or be in the broadcast industry. I actually started out in film and thought that I wanted to be a filmmaker and go into the film industry because I just found movies and TV shows and the stories that they told, and documentaries too, so compelling. So I kind of started out in the film industry and fell into journalism through still photography, through freelance, and then through that ended up writing some stories, grabbing some pitches, and that led me to a full-time career in the broadcast industry. And I think that's where I really found my calling, was instead of seeing those stories on screen in media, instead getting the chance to tell real people's stories through the news industry, and kind of getting to tell stories that, are hyper local and are probably stories that people wouldn't otherwise get the chance to hear unless, they went to the event themselves, or, super interesting, like, feature pieces that, get to tell maybe, like, bigger picture kind of stories. So I would say that has become my why, is kind of getting to do some, like, investigative journalism, to do, like, breaking news journalism, and tell those stories. But honestly, it's also a bit of, like, sports is just as important too, and there's a lot of compelling storylines through sports, and specifically, like, college sports. There's so many good stories that, are out there that we might not even know about. So it's exciting just to have the opportunity to kind of get to dig into some of those stories and share those stories with our greater community. And I don't know, I love getting to be a storyteller every day.
I can tell. And listen, I love that passion. I love the passion that you show, that you exhibit. And that's a great answer. It really is. And listen, you don't have to sweet talk me. Sports is definitely something that I love. I love anytime that anybody talks about sports, that brings a smile to my face. And, naturally we want to be journalists because we want to storytell. We want to be pillars in our community. We want to tell the stories that don't often get told. And there's so many different ways that you can diversely tell a story, whether it's through photography, whether it's through broadcast journalism or print journalism, and in just a plethora of ways that you can tell stories like that. And I love that. And in all the genres that you mentioned, which was sports or entertainment or news and stuff like that. So I love that. I got to ask you, because I know you started off going to a college, but you eventually transferred to the University of New Mexico, which you are a Lobos alumni. No question
Everybody's
about that.
Lobo.
Right?
Woof, woof,
Right,
woof.
right. So some big time people came from there. Going off my sports mind, Brian Urlacher, ex-Chicago Bear, is in New Mexico. I believe Teddy Bruschi, Patriots linebacker, went there to New Mexico as well. But I want to know, for your perspective, why did you choose New Mexico? And were there any other schools that could have persuaded you from going to New Mexico? And if so, what were those schools?
Well, since I didn't start out at New Mexico, I started out going to private liberal arts school on the East Coast because I thought I was going to do film and go the pathway to New York City and doing film in and around New York City. But I ended up transferring to New Mexico because they had a film program. They have an up and coming, like, huge film industry in and around the state, because there's a bunch of tax incentives. There's a bunch of different places that you can film. They can fake stuff. There's so many different, like, locales in and around the state. So I switched there for that and being closer to family in Colorado. But when I was first applying to schools out of high school, since I thought I was doing film, I wanted to be like every other film kid and apply to the #1 film school in the country, which is the University of Southern California. Spoiler alert, I did not get into USC as somebody with no experience in film, but I tried. I applied, did my best. But honestly, I think it worked out for the best. I think it worked out the way it was supposed to. Because if I hadn't gone to the University of New Mexico, I never, would have worked adjacent to the journalism program. I worked at the school paper, and that's where I started doing the still photography and then getting into writing, and that ended up getting me a job as a freelance still photographer for an online paper that's part of a larger nonprofit called States Newsroom that has online papers in almost half of the 50 states. And then that got me the job in Albuquerque at the news station, and then that job got me the job at the news station here. So it all feels very fortuitous that I didn't get into the school I wanted to, way back when, but I ended up where I was supposed to be.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love how it's a trickle-down effect of how you was able to do this, able to do this, able to do this. But, when one door closes, another one opens. And then, Shelby, you also made the best of your opportunity as well. And I love that. I love hearing about that, right? And going to New Mexico, which is such a change from going to anywhere on the East Coast, because it's just a different culture, different lifestyle, no question about that. Bonus question for you, because I've only driven through New Mexico, which was, Albuquerque. Tell me about living in New Mexico, what the lifestyle was, what's some fun things to do in New Mexico while you were there?
Well, honestly, I wore this shirt, Meow Wolf repping the soccer team they got there, New Mexico United. There's so many fun things about the state that I feel like most people don't know about, because there are people here that still think that New Mexico isn't a part of the United States. They just hear the Mexico part and think that it's not one of the 50 states. But honestly, what I said about there being so many locales in this, there's so much different geography. Like, the southern part of the state is very different from the middle part of the state, is different from the northern part of the state. And then Albuquerque, it's just such, like, a convergence of all these different cultures. I would say is the coolest part about New Mexico, because you have people who are indigenous to New Mexico, before state borders were ever drawn. You have people who are indigenous to Mexico, the country as we know it now, that kind of came up that way. You have people who are descended from, like, Spanish colonizer, the conquistadors, who now live in New Mexico.
Okay, I know about that. Okay.
Yeah, you have people from a whole bunch of other, like, Hispanic countries have come to New Mexico. And then you have people from other parts of the country that have moved to New Mexico. So you have so many different cultures with so many different histories that are all kind of competing for your attention, but it results in such a cool and unique place that you won't find anywhere else in the country, of, like, the foods that are available, the places to travel. I mean, Albuquerque is the same altitude as Denver, which most people don't realize. It's a mile high, so you still have mountain altitudes. You can go to Santa Fe. It has such a beautiful art scene, music. I can't talk about the culture enough,
that.
But
I've heard about that. They do got a beautiful, like, art type of scene there. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, they have a bunch of different arts festivals. You have the Santa Fe Opera, which doesn't just have opera. I know people hear the word opera, opera house, and they get spooked. But I've been to multiple concerts that were there. The drive is beautiful. and albeit I was more in like the central and northern parts of the state, but working for the news station, our market, which just means the area that we cover, was basically the
Right.
whole state. So sometimes we'd go out on assignment like 3 to 4 hours away, which was cool to
Right.
get to kind of travel and see corners of the state I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to go to. And I'll be real, not all of it is beautiful. Like, any state's gonna have some dry
For
and
sure.
lonely desert. And,
Right. Right. That's for sure. No, no, that's a really good point, Shelby. And that's another point I want to drill home before I get to the next question is because as a journalist, typically when you do step into this industry, you typically move to a place that's foreign to you, number one, that you really don't know of, that you got to adjust new to. A lot of teachers and educators, when you do get your degrees, talk about moving to a small market, talk about moving to a market where you have to kind of build yourself up. So typically, when you're dealing with small markets, you're dealing with towns that you never heard of. Typical towns that are not on the globe. You got to Wikipedia or look up and try to find out where the hell they are because you just don't know what's going on. So I totally understand that. But that's also the beauty about journalism is that you do get to see some really different towns, see some how people live, especially coming over from kind of bigger cities when you're going into smaller cities and stuff like that. Another bonus question before I get to some of the favorite questions I want to ask you. You talked about film. I'm a huge musical person. I love musicals. I don't know if you're a huge musical person, but I want to know what is your top like if I ask you to give me a top four of films or musicals that that you just can't you love to see over and over again. You never get tired of seeing. What are some of those films or musicals that you like to see?
well, Chris, honestly, I'm so happy to hear you say that because I feel like it's kind of a common thing these days to hate on musicals. Like, it's a cool thing to hate on musicals. Which just makes me sad because musicals are so cool, and I
They
wish I
are
lived closer to New York City, and could go to Broadway every weekend. If money was no object,
for
that's
sure.
that's
For
where
sure.
I would be in the art
Right.
scene.
Right.
Um, but I feel like my answer to this question is like the meaning of musicals and I love movie musicals, and albeit there are some bad ones. I'll give it to you straight. I did see Cats the musical. I was forced to go see Cats the musical, the movie. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. uh, but what I would recommend is my favorite movie is La La Land, which
Yeah.
is
Pretty
a
good one.
movie, a musical. It's a great story. Um, People are on like a Ryan Gosling craze and going back and watching this movie who haven't heard of La La Land before. So
Sure.
I'm all here for the La La Land hype. If I could go see a musical in person, because there's not a movie version of it yet, I would want to go see Hades Town. I listen to that
Mm.
soundtrack on repeat pretty often. Um, I don't know what else. I do like Hamilton. I'm kind of a sucker for Hamilton.
There
It
you
came
go.
out when I was
There
in
you
high
go.
school, and it's
Right.
so like you can listen to it again and again, and you'll catch something new every time. Which is another thing. People like to hate on Hamilton now and call it cringy, but Hamilton got me through AP US history, and I will give Disney props for putting the recording of the musical on their streaming service
On
because
Disney. Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
difference between a movie musical, say like In the Heights where they made it a movie, versus
Right.
the recording of the actual theater production.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
But
Um,
my
you
my
named some good
other
ones. You named some good.
I'll give you my fourth one real quick. Is
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
plug for Once the musical, which they also made into a movie. If you want to get into your feelings, I would recommend Once the musical.
I have heard of that musical. I've not watched that particular one yet. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge musical buff because in high school I had a chance to act in one of my favorite musicals. But it wasn't my favorite at the time because at the time they approached me. They was like, "Chris, we want you to do this musical," and I'm like, "Musical about what?" Well, it's about the French Revolution. It's called Les Miserables. I was like, "Les Miserables." was like, what the hell is that? I don't know what that is. And I'm coming from an athlete type of standpoint. I'm playing basketball. The season just ended. I'm trying to do AAU stuff, which is like postseason basketball because I'm in my junior year. I'm preparing for my senior year to play for that. And they was like, well, Chris, you've been in chorus. And it's actually my chorus teacher. Her name was Barbara Toombs. And she came up to me and she said, Chris, I really think you would be good in this role. I think that you should be in this musical, and I'm overseeing the music, and I trusted her very much because she was a great teacher and she's one of my favorites. So I was like, okay, I'll audition. So I auditioned, and then they said, well, you're gonna do 4 different roles. I was like, 4 what? They was like 4 different roles. So I had the role of the prisoner, which is the opening scene. For those of you that don't know Les Miserables, it's the opening scene of the act. I also had the Drink With Me solo, if you remember that, the Drink With Me solo as well. And then was in the final scene where I got ultimately shot and killed. And that was the final scene where they sing about it. So it was quite the experience. That was my first musical I ever did, but that's when I fell in love with musicals. And to add 3 more to because you gave 4, my all-time favorite musical is Hairspray. I cannot get enough of Hairspray. It's just a beautiful musical. Fell in love when the movie came out. No question about it. I love that. Wicked is another musical that is definitely a top-notch musical. I had to see it when it came here in February in Rochester, so I went and saw it, and I thought it was great. And then I would say a musical that's different because there's so many. It's hard to just choose 4, obviously, because we're both musical lovers. But Little Shop of Horrors is actually a really good musical. I did not think I would like that because I remember seeing the movie and I was like, the movie's okay, but the musical was actually pretty good. So definitely want to shout out those 4 for sure. But there's Annie, there's West Side Story, there's Mamma Mia. There's so many more that we can name that's just really good. So and also The Greatest Showman, which I call a musical. Okay, I'm calling that a musical for sure, no question about that. So yes, but I love it. I love your list. I want to get into some favorite questions, Shelby, and you give me the 411 off the rip based upon your favorite questions. Okay, so here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Favorite meal I like to cook? Um, Probably be. I mean, we've been talking about New Mexico so much. These green chili and chicken enchiladas that I learned from a coworker in New Mexico. It's probably become one of my favorite things to cook because it's pretty easy to cook. It's great to cook for a lot of people, and it's just one of those like comfort meals.
Okay. I like that. I like that. I'm a huge Mexican food lover. So yeah, I love that. You know, anytime you talk about enchilada, fajitas, roll tacos, anything like that, I'm with it. So you already got me smiling, girl. So I love that. Now I'm gonna ask you this next one. Favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh, favorite concert is it's gotta be seeing one of my favorite bands called Young the Giant at Red Rocks in Colorado. If you've never been to Red Rocks in Colorado, I always tell people that's one of those concert venues. Doesn't matter what you're seeing, just go see a concert at Red Rocks once in your life, and it'll ruin all other concert venues for you for the rest of your life because it's such a unique, amazing experience.
No question. 1,000%. I've had the privilege of being at Red Rocks. It's a different type of amphitheater than I've ever been to in any of the other states. No question about that. It's a great venue. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do know the name Young the Giant. I don't know many songs of Young the Giant. However, if you hit me up with a list, Shelby, I would definitely take a listen to because I'm always looking to add to the Pandora. I'm always
Yeah,
looking to
I'll
do
I'll
that.
always plug Young the Giant. If you're into any sort of like indie rock, you
Hmm.
you've probably heard of Young the
Absolutely.
Giant, but they're still making music. People know them from their most popular song. It's called Cough
Mhm.
Syrup. That was the one on playing on all the radio stations. But there's so
Oh,
much more than that.
I'm a huge fan of Tame Impala. Do you know about Tame Impala?
I do know about Tame. They're in the same vein, I would say.
Okay. Okay, got you. Say less. All right, that's what's up. All right, now, favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Favorite place is another easy answer for me. I argued. Oh, I lost you again, Chris.
Uh-oh. We are here with Shelby Wyatt, news photographer for ABC 4020, 4029, I should say. Um, let's see. Shelby, you still with us? We might have lost Shelby. But we will get her back shortly. We was having a great conversation. We're on some of the favorites of Shelby's. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see what we got.
Well, so I'll go ahead. I lost you again, Chris, but I'll give you my answer for that one at least. That was another easy answer for me. I argued with my parents back and forth my junior year of college about whether or not I was going to do a study abroad or the. Oh, got you back.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what transpired or what happened, but we were rolling, and then all of a sudden your face froze, and then I didn't hear anything you said about your favorite place. So I would need you to
Oh
tell me
no.
once again, what is your favorite place that you would like to travel to?
Well, that's gonna be an easy answer for me. Cause in college I kind of argued with my parents back and forth of whether I could take this travel course that was like part science course, part travel, or doing a
Hmm.
semester abroad. And I won them over on doing the travel course. Because it was the chance to get a 2 week trip to Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands, which has been a bucket list item for me since I was a kid. And in the third grade, did a project about this species of marine iguana that only lives in the Galapagos, and it's the only like swimming species of iguana. Um, so I don't think I'll ever have a trip in my lifetime that's able to top my trip to the Galapagos and getting to see. It's not just the iguanas, but there's so much biodiversity there where it's like this is the only place in the whole world that all these different animal species exist. And then the culture in Ecuador was really cool too. We got to go to some rainforest, some cloud forests. We got
Okay.
to go to the capital. We got to go to some cacao farms, which is where they make like or they grow the pods that you can get coffee and chocolate from. So we got to see the process kind of from start to the finished product. And if people are vegan, I would say tune out for the next part. But we did also eat some guinea pig because it is one of those local specialties that you gotta try while you're
Wow.
there.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not vegan, but I'll be damned if I'm gonna eat some guinea pig. I'm just not gonna do that. I'm gonna leave that up to you, Shelby, and I'm glad that you had a good time, though. That's a heck of a thing. I'm gonna have to call you when I do go to Ecuador because I just got my passport, so I'm definitely gonna be traveling all different kinds of places. 'Cause I'm a huge traveler, love to do that for sure. Okay. Now, I'm a sports person, so this is a two-part question. Okay. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to attend in person? They could be the same sport.
Actually, I think my answer from this question has actually changed within the past week. Just because I would say favorite sport to watch is probably like college basketball. Just because it's so fun to watch and then kind of participate in March Madness and have multiple games going on at the same time. And
Yeah.
if you're a betting person, checking in on how your bracket's doing, is how busted is your bracket.
Oh, it
um,
was busted. That's
Kind
for
of got
sure.
into that the past couple of years, and it's a lot of
Right.
fun.
Right.
Um, but I think favorite sport to watch in person. I played softball in high school, and then long before high school, kind of like the rec league level, and that was the main sport I've played throughout my life. So getting to watch softball and college softball in person is a lot of fun. But this past week, I was covering Arkansas softball in the super regionals, and Me and
Yeah,
our sports anchor got to watch them win game 2 of the Super Regionals and punch their ticket to the College World Series, which have never been to before in program history.
that's
So,
what's up. Will you get a chance to go cover them up there in Omaha? I believe it's in Omaha, right?
so baseball's in Omaha and softball's in Oklahoma City. But I don't
Oh,
know. I think within the next 24 hours, I'll be able to find out if I'm going to get to go or not. But
well,
fingers
I hope
crossed.
so. I hope so. Yes, I hope you do because obviously that is big time. And shout out to Arkansas softball team for making it to the College World Series. Another surprise was that Oklahoma, a storied franchise, Oklahoma got bounced. They got eliminated from the tournament. So yeah, I definitely saw that. And Arkansas basketball team for college basketball, obviously Acuff Jr. is a big time guard, and John Calipari on their men's team. They made it pretty far this year, no question about that. So yeah, Arkansas is looking up for sure, no doubt about that. So I like that. I like the fact you said college basketball. I got a chance to cover college basketball this year, March Madness. They came to Buffalo, so the first and second round. I got a chance to do that. Next year, they're actually going to have the Sweet 16 and Elite Eight of the men's side in New York City. So it's
Wow.
about 5 hours away. So I'm hoping and praying that I could get credential for that. That would be amazing if I could, for sure, because I would definitely go to Madison Square Garden. It'd be my first time ever there at Madison Square Garden. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers for that.
Hey, man, I'll be hoping and praying for you. I got the chance to cover some March Madness with the Arkansas team in Portland, Oregon, and then San Jose, California this year. And that was my
Ooh,
first time getting to go to a Sweet 16, and it was a lot of fun. Like you said, Arkansas is a big men's basketball team. They keep making
it is.
splashy headlines every year. I think next year is going to be
Hmm.
another hot year for them.
For sure.
But yeah, as long as you talk about Arkansas sports, we just don't talk about football. That's
No,
that's the
no,
only
we can't.
rule.
Oh yeah, we can't talk. Ain't no pig suey on that. We can't talk about no football for Arkansas. But you know what? I grew up. Oh, I wouldn't say this. I was very young when Arkansas basketball team won the national championship. Okay, I was very young, obviously, and I literally was almost the year I was born, but not quite. But yes, it was one of those things where my dad implemented his coaching style after Arkansas's national championship team in the early '90s. They used to call it 40 minutes of hell.
Hey, they,
Is
they
what they
still
called it.
call it that. They still reference it. They still every year the basketball team's doing good. They'll talk to some of those '94 alumni, some of the former players, which I'm sure
Wow,
they're happy to relive their glory days and get on
for sure.
camera and talk about what it means to them and what it means now to see the next generation up and coming and giving Arkansas a big name and giving some of these other big storied teams a run for their money.
Absolutely, and they got the right guy at the helm in John Calipari. He definitely is a national champion himself. Obviously winning it with Kentucky, so yeah, he knows what he's doing, and he has that team trending in the right direction for sure. I love that.
Yeah,
Last of the
Kentucky
favorites.
can stay mad. They can stay mad that he came here, and it was a big deal when he went with Arkansas back to Rupp Arena, and they were booing him, and
They
we
was
we
booing
still
him.
walked away with a win that game. That's all I
You
have to
did.
say.
You did, and I love how you repping for Arkansas. I love that. I cannot wait till the next schedule drops because I want to be able to attend an Arkansas game because listen, I'm naturally an SEC guy. I graduated in the state of Georgia. I didn't go to UGA, but I went to Kennesaw State University, and Georgia's an hour away. So I went to a lot of
Hmm.
UGA games. So I'm naturally an SEC guy. So I definitely love SEC basketball. Cannot wait for college basketball to drop again with their schedules, and I'm gonna try to see if I can go to an Arkansas game for sure. And obviously if I do, I'm gonna have to hit you up for sure, no question.
Exactly. You got to hear the hog call at least once in your life.
I love it. I love it. That's what's up. Okay, last of the favorite place you like to eat out at. When I do come to Arkansas, because I've never been to Arkansas before. I don't even think I've ever driven through it, to be honest with you. But I do plan on coming there at some point because I want to either see some football or some basketball. Huge sports guy here. What place should I go out and eat at?
Well, I would say, I was just like you before I moved here. I don't think I'd even driven through the state of Arkansas before I moved here, kind of sight
Hmm.
unseen. But
Right.
the biggest thing I've found here is there's actually a huge barbecue scene, which makes sense because we're in the South, and it's like Arkansas's kind of in between. You got Texas here, and then you got Missouri here, and you got Kansas
Right.
City's like a few hours away. So you have all
Right.
these huge barbecue places, but there's this place called Wright's Barbecue, who the owner, or like the owner, founder, creator of Wright's Barbecue is like a James Bearden National Award winner. So, you know, he knows his stuff, knows his barbecue. And I'm sure other people will echo my sentiment of like, you got to try Wright's Barbecue when you come to Northwest Arkansas specifically.
Okay, no doubt, no doubt. Wright's Barbecue, shout out to them. I love me some good barbecue, whether it's pulled pork, whether it's ribs, it don't matter what it is. I love me some barbecue, so I cannot wait to come out there and try that for sure. And like I said, when I'm in town, I'm gonna have to hit up Shelby, and we'll go get some barbecue. That's just what
Yeah,
we'll do.
get
I
you
love
some
it.
spicy collard greens, some mac and cheese, fall off the bone ribs, and I'm a burnt ends fan myself.
I feel that. I feel that. Everything you said was great until you added spicy. Spice ain't nice with this body. I just can't do it. I mean, but now listen, that's what collard greens. Because I do like hot sauce, a little bit of hot sauce, and I do like buffalo
Yeah,
sauce on my
it's not
wings.
too spicy.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. I'm with it. I'm with it, then. Okay, that's what's up. I like that. I like your favorites. Now, we're going to talk about your day-to-day operations as a news photographer there at 4029 ABC. Now, obviously, as a journalist, no 2 days are ever the same. You're always shooting something different, covering something different. Every single day, you're doing something different, which is kind of the fun thing about journalism. You just never know what you're going to do when you show up, right? You have your production meetings and you have your meetings of where you're pitching stories or where you're doing stories. Even as a freelancer like myself, I wake up with certain ideas that I want to pitch to different publications or networks, or there's games that I might cover. It's all different, and you never know how the games are going to go. So you never know how you're going to write the games, how you're going to report on the games, right? So tell me what your day-to-day process is. What time do you normally go in? What time do you end? How many stories do you do a day as a photographer behind the scenes? And how many different reporters do you get the chance to work with and stuff like that?
Absolute. Well, I mean, you hit the nail on the head of saying every day's a different day. I never know what my day's gonna look like until I walk into the newsroom, which is great for somebody like me who has ADHD, and like I thrive off of having something like new and exciting to do every day. So I've kind of found like broadcast journalism is a great place to be for that.
For
Um,
sure.
Now I work what's called the night side shift, so I get into work at 1:30 in the afternoon. Um,
Mm,
I walk in, I kind of check in with our assignment manager, who's the person who keeps track of all the assignments for the day and what reporters doing what story and what shows they're supposed to be live in. So I see if there's anything I have to go to right away or if we know what the plan is yet. And then I load up all of my gear, load up the car, come back. We have a kind of 2 p.m. production meeting that you were talking about where we check in with the dayside reporters, so the people who got in earlier that morning at like 9, 10 o'clock, and they
right.
give the newsroom an update on how their stories are going. And then the reporters who are on the night side shift like me, then they get the chance to pitch their stories, and kind of all the producers and the news director will talk, and they'll decide what the lead story is going to be for that night, like what story they're going to put that reporter on. And
For sure.
uh, depending on how it works out, I might go out with them right away, or at our newsroom, since we're kind of a smaller market here, I also help edit and have like an editing shift once a week. So if our reporter isn't going out right away, because our nightside reporter, one of the nightside reporter also anchors our 4 p.m. show, so she's
Wow.
on air from 4 to 5 and then switches into reporter mode. So I might not be going out with her until 5 o'clock if she doesn't have an interview set up ahead of time. So I
Right.
might help edit for a little bit, and then I'll go out with her and do a story, or if we have one of our other reporters, might go out with him right away. And then the best part, well, best craziest part of working in news is breaking news can happen. So you
For
might have
sure.
a well-intentioned plan, you have everything set for the day, what everybody's going to be working on, and then you get the call that a plane crashed in the middle of a lake, and
Right.
we got to send people out right away. We don't know any details. We just you gotta
We
start
just going.
start heading that way.
Right, right.
So we go with the plan until a new plan happens. And the big thing with this station is they love having the reporters be live. So we try to get as many people live as possible
Hmm.
in our 4 o'clock show, our 5 o'clock show, our 6 o'clock show, and then same thing for our 9 and 10 o'clock shows. So it's the most I've ever been live. We were not live this much at my previous station, so that was a little bit of a learning curve here. Just because at the previous station we had more reporters who were live in the studio. So where
Sure.
you think of when you think of like, sitting at the desk and then you'll cut to a reporter standing in front of a screen. They did more of that for the later shows, and here we do a lot more of like reporters live in the field in the
Right.
later shows. So I'll go be live with the reporter, I'll light them up, I'll get the camera set up, I'll make sure everything looks great, and then we call it a night and take everything back and unload the gear and make sure. I might check the plan for the next day and see if there's anything in the planner. If we know stuff ahead of time, like if there's a big city council meeting we're planning on going to, or a board meeting, or a big event that's happening, I'll be like, oh, okay. Get a little bit of an idea of what my next day might look like, but
Right. Right.
largely it's just I figure out what my day looks like the second I walk in the door.
I love it. I love that. And listen, you pretty much work the schedule of a sports reporter because we're all night side too. Sports are evenings and weekends. For those of you that will watch this, if you are planning on being a sports reporter, you definitely going to have to give up your evenings and weekends. There's no question about that. Because sports
It's just
predominantly
how it
happens at that
is,
time.
yeah.
Hmm. No question, no question. Like I said, I just got back about an hour ago from covering, excuse me, minor league baseball games. So it just happens. Happens at that time. But also if you're a news reporter, sometimes, like you said, you get those daytime reporters that come in at 9 and 8. Sometimes you have reporters coming in earlier than that. They got to wake up at 1:30 in the morning, get there early in the morning, have the early morning shift. You typically get in there and do the night shift, which is amazing and great. Um, and I want to ask you this bonus question though, because when you go off and do some of these stories, I think people sometimes they only see the live shot, so they only see the person that's in front of the camera. But it takes a village to get this stuff done. Like you said, you got to pack up, you have to go, you have to set up, get the lighting right, the script's got to be right. Everything has to go according to plan, and even sometimes, like you said, it goes off script because you have breaking news. Talk to me about being behind the scenes and when things go awry or things go a little bit different, how does one kind of react to that? You know what I mean? Because you're behind the scenes. Like nobody never sees what is actually going on when things are happening like that.
Well, like you said, I think the average person who has no connection to the news industry, they just, see what ends up the final result on TV.
Right.
And what they don't see
Right.
is like, that entire village working behind the scenes of like when
Hmm.
breaking news happens, you have producers who are in the newsroom who are rewriting scripts and trying to get the news scripts to the reporters who are out in the
Right.
field, and I'm out with the reporter and like breaking news just happened. Okay, are we having a press conference out in the field? Where do we need to be for that? I'm helping the reporter edit. Do we need to change the package because now is there information that's incorrect or dated in the package? Do we have to
Right.
fix that? And then if we have to fix that, now we have to send that package back. And how long is it going to take to feed that package back? And then, oh no, like, is it going to feed back in time for us to make our slot? Are we going to have to move our hit time? But the main thing to make it all work is just communication, communication, communicate. I prefer over communication to lack of communication. Like,
For
you just got to
sure.
make sure everybody's on the same page. You got to get people have to make yes or no decisions. Like, this person's going to do this person's going to do this. Here's exactly
Right.
what's going to happen now. And then you just got to execute. So, I think having a cool head, I'm a very kind of even keel type of person.
I
That's
get
just
that. I
my
get that behind.
personality.
Right.
Helps
Right.
a lot in this situation of when breaking news happens. I'm the one who's just okay, like, let's just take a beat. We're not going to freak out. We're going to figure out what we need to do, and then we're going to do it.
Go do it. That's
So
it.
I think one of the craziest examples here was we had a recycling plant catch fire, and I was the first news person there who was setting up and getting
Right.
a live shot up so that our newsroom could see what was happening. And we got a reporter out there, and it took him so long to get there because it was like a 2-lane road, and traffic is just at a standstill. Like, he can't
Right.
get to where I am. So he
Right.
finally gets there. I have the live shot up. I had to get everything ready so that the second he got there, I'm listening to the producer and the show in my ear, and they're telling me, we need him in 30 seconds. We're coming to you in 30 seconds. So I'm running to hand him the microphone. I'm telling him, hey, we're live in 30 seconds. Like, you just got to get in front of the camera and be like, hey, I'm Jacob Murphy. I'm at the scene of this recycling plant fire. And then step out of frame. And that's exactly what happened. He exited his car 30 seconds before they came to us. And he still took 15 of those seconds to, check in with the police officer that was there. And then so when it came to us, you saw him actually step in front of the camera, grab the mic, do his intro, and then immediately step back out so that I could tilt the camera up and show, this billowing tower of smoke and the recycling plant on
Right.
fire. And that's the beauty of live news, man.
It is. It really is. Like, people do not understand all the scrambling that us reporters, photographers, producers, everybody that's in the village has to do in order for the show to it must go on, right? Like you said, there's breaking news and things that happen all the time. And that's actually one of the reasons why I like to do this podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. It's really get behind the scenes perspective, because sometimes people get a misconception of things. When you only see the live product and like the final result, as you called it, like the 5, 6, the 4, 5, 6, or the 5, 6, 7, or and the 9 and 10 shows at the end, yeah, it's great, but it takes a lot to get to that point. It really does. It takes a lot of work behind the scenes and wonderful people like you, producers, that make the reporters look good, that make the anchors look good, right? Because those are the people that get seen on TV. But it's also a great segue, Shelby, and that's because I want to talk to you about mental health and work-life balance. And the reason why I want to talk to you about that, and I think it's a great segue, is because I know many journalists and many people in this media industry that have stepped away from this industry because of their mental health being affected, in a plethora of ways. And I've also know people have stepped away because of work-life balance. They just could not get balanced, and it was just too overwhelming. Now, me personally, my personal opinion, being in this industry for about 9+ years, I don't think you'll ever have a perfect type of balance. I think balance looks different for every single person because everybody's lives is different. Everybody can also handle stress and different things differently, right? So I don't think you ever be perfect. It's just a situational type of situation. But I asked you to say all that. How do you maintain good mental health and still have work-life balance? Because you seem like a wonderful person to be around. I certainly wouldn't mind hanging out with you, and I think your friends and family feel the same way. But I know you're dedicated to your job. So how do you maintain good mental health, but also don't get overwhelmed or burnt out?
Well, first, I appreciate the compliment. If it looks like I have it all together, I promise you I don't. But I am also actively trying to, find that work-life balance. Because as you mentioned, the broadcast industry as a whole is filled with a lot of burnout. It's a lot
Right.
of stress. It's a lot of go, go, go. Like we mentioned with schedules, it's not a lot of fun schedules. It's a lot of nights, a lot of weekends, a lot of holidays, a lot of getting called on your days off. You might not get a 2-day weekend. You might have to come in and work
Right.
morning shifts, which I have also
Right.
had to work. And nobody enjoys getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but the show must go on. The morning shows must air. Somebody has to put those together.
For sure.
But I would say for me, honestly, it's kind of the perfect answer for this podcast is how I maintain that work-life balance is kind of integrating sports into, the news coverage. Because when I worked in Albuquerque, which was a much bigger market than where I am in Arkansas, we would cover a lot of like crime and criminal justice. We would go to court a lot. Not every day for me, but one of our photographers would probably be in court every day. a lot of the breaking news was crime related. It could be an officer involved shooting. It could be a homicide. It could be, I don't know, just a lot of really heavy like content for photographers and reporters to have to cover day after day. So
Right.
that's kind of how I fell in love with covering sports. Is sports was kind of a relief of like, oh, thank God I get to cover AAA baseball and like
Right.
just sit back and shoot baseball, and there's nothing heavy here. And then coming to Arkansas, smaller market than Albuquerque, way less crime. We don't cover court the same that we did in Albuquerque here. Not to
Right.
say that like there isn't crime here, but it's just breaking news here is weather related. That's usually what breaking news means is
For sure.
a severe thunderstorm, tornado damage, those kind of stories. Which allowed me to kind of keep covering sports and kind of finding a way to find the joy in sports, and follow the SEC. I'd never covered an SEC school before. Which, for those of you who don't like, there's so much money poured into these programs. There's a reason why these teams are always like such heavy hitters across multiple sports, because
Yeah,
so much has been
absolutely.
invested in these programs, and
Right.
made them a top destination for student athletes. And but outside of covering sports, now that I'm here and don't have such a heavy mental workload every day, I would say how I kind of work on my mental health is taking those weekend days to really kind of recharge and also give myself permission to relax and not do anything, which
I
is kind
like
of
that.
hard because I like to have a schedule and I like to go to different events, and
Me too.
what are
Yeah.
the community events happening, what sports are like what can I go do, and then reminding myself of like it's okay to just take a
Relax.
half a day to relax, because even not stressful weeks, like you can still carry those in your body, and you
Right.
get to your weekend day and you realize like this week was a lot, even though I didn't feel it in the moment. Now
Hmm.
that I'm just breathing, and I mean, I'm sure people mention it too, but I would say like any kind of movement of doing like Pilates or yoga or anything where you're super intentional with like movement in your body and focusing on your breathing, I've found personally is a great way for me to slow down and maybe not relax as much, because you get your heart rate up, you're sweating, you're not relaxing per se. um,
Right. Right. For
but it's
sure.
just a good way to like kind of turn your brain off and be like, okay, like I'm gonna check in with how I'm feeling, how these different muscle groups are feeling. Work on my flexibility, get some cardio in. Um, but yeah, and kind of to end cap on all of that, I would say like plug for mental health and like having a therapist and having somebody who's
Mm.
not like your
Yeah.
significant other or your immediate friends or your family, because
For
those
sure.
people aren't paid to be your therapist. And that's kind of the beauty of being able to find somebody, hopefully in your network, who is affordable, because that's a whole other problem. But if you are able to find that person, I strongly advocate for, even if you feel like you don't need it, like I would say just to dip your toe in the water of talking to a therapist, and you might be
Mm.
surprised at how helpful it can be.
I love that. That's a great answer. It's a question that's worth asking, Shelby. And I asked everybody that comes on this podcast because everybody deals with mental health differently. Everybody deals with just a work-life balance differently, right? And you talked about it. You talked about just being able to relax, try to take your 2 days off. This is one of the best industries, if not the best industry to be in. And that's just my opinion because I love covering sports. I love storytelling. I love what I do. But there's a A side and there's a B side. And you have to understand what both of those sides are. The A side is what we're talking about, being pillars in our community, being able to story tell, being able to tell stories that no one else told, being able to talk to different people every day. Someone having an impact in your life that you never met that may have a story that's like, wow, eye opening, right? But then the B side of that is you do have to work on holidays. You do miss times with your friends. You do get called on your day off. You do have to miss celebrations and things with your family. You may not be able to travel and go see your family on holidays. You may not be able to see them as much as possible. And listen, everybody has to sacrifice something in life in order to get to what they want to do. This to me is a calling. But there are times where I do miss uh, Thanksgivings and Christmases and stuff like that because sports don't stop because those holidays are coming. I still got to cover sports on those times, and you also have to do your stories as well. So it's it takes a mental toll on people, right? And also I wanted to touch upon the type of stories that you do. One of the reasons why I do sports is because I know sports it can have some hard news stories at times. However, most of the time in sports they're result based. You're either gonna have a winner, you're gonna have a loser, and both teams going into it. They know you can win or lose. One of those two is gonna happen with life stories and news stories, you don't know about something that's going to be burnt down. You don't imagine walking out of your house and something burning down or someone being shot or something tragically happening. And that is heavy. It can be heavy. I want to ask this bonus question to you before I get to the next one is how do you deal with hard news stories and what kind of advice would you give someone that is coming into the industry that has to do hard news stories like crime stories or death stories and stuff like that.
I think the best advice I would kind of give them is sort of what I was talking about is don't think that like you have to carry that with you and not talk about it. I know that it was really prevalent in this industry for decades of like, this is just what we do. And if you can't handle it, then you're just not cut out for this industry. Pack your
Right.
bags, go find a softer industry. And it was
Right.
kind of seen as like a weakness to be human and
Yep.
have emotions and react to emotional stories. So, I mean, there has to be a line of like, you can't be covering these stories and then, break down every time like something really hard and emotional happens, like while you're trying to put it together. Because
Sure.
it is
Like a
hard.
happy medium, almost.
Yeah, like a happy medium.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
be able to lock in while you're covering the story and then, I would always tell people the reporters in Albuquerque I was like, I'm the car therapist of like, you go work on the hard story and then we hop in the car and we have our little mini therapy session on the drive back, like just even just talking and saying the words out
Right.
loud of like that was a really hard story. Here's why it was really difficult for me to process. Um,
Right.
so when talking to people about it, don't just bottle it up. If you can find and or afford a therapist, do that. But if you can't, like again, just making sure you have people that like will check in on you, whether that's your family, your friends, and kind of going along with that burnout and like missing holidays and missing hanging out with people. Like you just have to be really intentional with your time and like if that means having to have like a scheduled phone call, with your mom once a week, or if it's like, I can't see my friend all the time, but we have like a Zoom date, this many times a month. Like it
Sure.
feels lame to have to plan hanging out, but I promise you it works so much better if you have that to look forward to instead
For
of,
sure.
you miss the holidays and you realize like how much you miss those people.
For sure. No, no doubt. And not to be redundant, but I want to keep going on advice. What is some advice that you would give someone that actually wants to be in the a broadcast journalist type of scene that you're in, right? I know you probably get interns that come to ABC that want to work there and eventually, and maybe college graduates or people that's in college may have came up to you and talked to you and asked you about different stuff. What is something that you would advocate about, being a broadcast journalist that you would give to them as advice?
Well, I would say, first of all, this advice is coming from me who went to school for film. I did not go to J school, journalism school, so I don't know what your professors told you on that end. Um, but I would say just keep trying. I know nobody really wants to start out at a smaller market. Um, but I've just seen that like that works so well as a stepping stone of like
Hmm.
yes, you might have to move away from your friends, your family, the
For
city
sure.
where you went to college, but it'll be so worth if you can push through those 2 years in somewhere new and just kind of accept that as an exciting challenge and be like, okay, I get to move somewhere new and meet new people and maybe experience new cultures. And by that, I
Yeah.
mean, like, it could just be the difference between New England culture and West Coast culture or Midwest culture.
Right.
Um, just be open to new things and experiences that you might not have thought were going to be where you end up. Because even here in Arkansas, I've seen people who didn't think they were going to end up in Arkansas. They do their 2 years as a reporter, and then they get to move on to a bigger market and do cover more of the stories they want to cover, or be a little closer to home, and maybe be able to get to ask for one of those holidays off, and then you get to spend one of those holidays with your family.
For sure.
Um, but that would be my advice. Like I would say it's worth it. Like I know it's hard to start somewhere new and to start towards the bottom, but quite literally that is what most everybody else has had to do is work their way
Oh,
up
for
from the
sure.
bottom. And
Hmm.
that's how these anchors ended up working at markets for 10, 20, 30 plus years. They didn't start there originally, or if they did, they weren't on the anchor desk. They had to
Right.
work. They had to earn their way to get there. And that's my other plug is shout out to anchors, because I used to be a person who thought that anchors just read a teleprompter on TV. I fully admit that's what I thought that they do, but every anchor used to be a reporter. They used to be going out and gathering those stories, and that's kind
Hmm.
of what made them a better anchor. Is they know what the other side looks like, and before they go on TV and you see them, yeah, they are reading off a but they read that script before the show even starts, and they also might be reporting on other stories outside of the newscast, and they might be working on a sweeps piece. They might be, kind of mentoring one of the newer reporters. Like they do a lot more than they're part of that whole village too.
For sure. And that's great advice. I would even add to that by saying I tell a lot of college kids this two things. One, be a jack of all trades. When you're in college, it's the best time, and even at these smaller markets, it's the best time to be able to try everything. Don't limit yourself. A lot of people just love to be on TV, but there's some great roles that's not an anchor or a reporter, right? You could be a producer, you could be a director, you could be an assignment desk editor, you can be working for a PR, you can work for a sports team, you can work for another communication organization. There's so many different roles in this communicative journalism type of field that you don't want to just limit yourself. You can do radio as well, like radio, play by play, if that's something that you want to do. Just try as much as you possibly can, learn what you love, learn what you don't love. And the second thing that I always tell kids is that do not get discouraged with the word no. It's real easy to get discouraged with the word no because you're going to hear it a lot more often than you'll hear yes. However, all you need is one yes. Once you do get a yes, then it will propel you to get more yeses because then you'll be able to show your worth. And you want to prove to that employer or to whoever you may be employed by that you're worth their time and they made the right choice. But I did over 400 plus applications before I landed my first full time job. It is just very hard to be able to say the reasons why you didn't get picked because every company has their own set of type of thoughts and opinions about why they go with the people that they go with. So don't get discouraged by no and try everything, but also include Shelby's advice as well. No question about that. We have came to the portion of the podcast that now we are going to play my interactive game. It's called This or That. It's a game I like to play with all my guests here on the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. And it's very simple. I'm going to throw some things at you, and you get to choose this or that. So, Shelby, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, here we go. Out of these two restaurants, which restaurant would you rather go in, sit down, and eat at? Texas Roadhouse or Longhorn Steakhouse?
Oh, I gotta go with Texas Roadhouse because you get your steak and you get your, unlimited rolls with that cinnamon butter. Sucker for it.
For sure, for sure. I'm putting cinnamon all over the roll too. I love them cinnamon rolls. I love it so much. I love that. Okay. When
Hey, I
it
mean,
comes to chicken wings. Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's how old I am. Is I used to go to Texas Roadhouse when they let you eat the peanuts and crush the peanut shells on the floor while you waited for your table.
I know
And as
exactly
a
what you're
kid,
talking about.
that was the prime experience. I didn't care about the food. I just loved stepping all over those peanut shells.
I know exactly what the hell you're talking about, and I used to get in trouble too. I used to get in trouble for doing that, for certainly, no question. Okay, I love that. Now, when it comes to chicken wings, which flavor would you rather put on the chicken wing out of these two, barbecue or lemon pepper?
Ooh, I think I gotta go with barbecue. Just because there's so many different types of barbecue. Of like, you can have it on the spicier side, the sweeter side. I like mine kind of on the tangier side, the more acidic.
Okay. Now, do you like your wings wet or dry?
Oh, wet all the way. I respect people who eat their wings dry, but that's not for me.
I feel that, girl. I feel that. Okay. Do you like your wings bone in or boneless?
I'm definitely of the mindset that boneless is just chicken nuggets, and if you want that, that's fine. But if you want wings, bone in like a real wing eater is what I have to say.
Girl, you are sounding more perfect with each answer that you give. I'm trying to tell you. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now, you like to go to work then. Get you some wings, get you a wet wipe. You like to get a little messy with it.
Yeah, I mean that's why they give you the wet wipes at the table. Like, you just gotta
Hello.
anticipate what's coming.
Girl, you speaking the gospel, the Matthew, Luke, and John. I feel you. I love it. I love it. I love that. I love that. Okay, here we go. We vibing right now. These next five questions have to do with music concerts that you rather attend. Now, if I say to you, Shelby, what kind of genre or what genres of music do you listen to? Would you tell me a certain genre, or would you say that you listen to everything?
I mean, it sounds cliche, but I do kind of listen to everything. Like, I have such an eclectic music taste that my playlist is not really themed around a certain genre. I mean, I might have it themed by like a decade, but I also, when I say I listen to everything, that includes rap, that includes country. I know people like to say stipulations when they mean everything. I do mean I listen to electro swing. If you haven't checked out electro swing, check it out.
Okay. Oh, I have not listened to Electro Swing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I have not. Now, I will say this: I don't listen to heavy metal music. God bless those that do listen to heavy metal. God bless your heart. I mean, God bless your damn heart. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I cannot listen to heavy metal music. However, every other genre, I'm with it, no question. So here we go. We're gonna start it off just like this. Which music concert out of these two artists would you rather go see? Beyonce or Rihanna?
Oh, that's kind of a hard question.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I ain't say it was gonna be easy now. I ain't
No,
say that.
I think mentally I thought it would be a quicker easy choice,
Right.
but I don't know. I feel like I kind of got to side with the Beehive on this one. Go see Beyonce in
Okay.
concert.
Okay. Listen, either choice ain't wrong. Oh, it's a difficult choice. So, I love Riri. I love B too. I love them both.
Yeah, love
Okay,
to them
here we
both.
go. Here we go. The next one. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Usher or Chris Brown?
Ooh. I think I'm gonna say Usher just because that was one of the Super Bowl halftime shows that really stood out because I didn't really care about football before, but I was at the news station working during the Super Bowl,
Know
whatever
that.
year that was, and it
Yeah.
was kind of like a bonding moment of everybody was like kind of gathered around the little TVs to watch we were working, I promise we were working, but it was fun to like have it be a communal Usher halftime show.
Right, no doubt. I'm with you on that. Okay, here we go. We're gonna switch up the genre a little bit. Which music artists out of these two would you rather see in concert? Coldplay or Imagine Dragons?
Oh, see that one's hard because it's kind of more of like I would rather not see either of them. but I guess if I had to choose, I would go with Coldplay.
Wow. Man, I don't want to see nan one of them. They both ass. They both terrible.
I mean, no hate. I just,
Right. That ain't your cup of tea. I get it. I totally
yeah.
get it. I understand. I totally understand. Okay. Well, we rocking with Coldplay over Imagine Dragons. All right, here we go. This next one here might be the hardest one to date. Which music artist would you rather go see? Kendrick Lamar or Drake?
Oh, so you say hard, but I'm rocking with Kendrick all the way. I would be happy to go see that Canadian in concert any day.
Did you say you would be happy to go see the Canadian in concert?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So hold on, but you said you go rock with Kendrick, right?
He's from Canada, right?
No. No, Kendrick, no, Drake is from Canada.
Okay, well, I meant Kendrick. I'm rocking with Kendrick. Kendrick, I thought you were Canadian. That is my apologies, my American king.
He's from the West Coast. It's okay. It's all right. You gotta love it, baby. Live podcast. You gotta love it. I love that. This is awesome. This is awesome. Okay. Now, I rock with K. Dot too, by the way. Now, last of the music. Okay. I'm gonna go country. All right. This is country, and I do love both of these artists. Which music concert would you rather go see? Would you rather go see Luke Combs or Morgan Wallen?
I think probably Luke Combs would be the flavor of country I'd prefer
Mm,
more. Again,
okay.
country's one of those ones where I don't hate on country as a whole,
Right.
but when I say I listen to country or I like country, my country's more like Johnny Cash type of country.
Oh, you talking about walk the line, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, I got you. I feel you. Listen, I like Johnny Cash too. No question. I do like him for some of his music. That's probably my mother's favorite movie because she watches it about 150 times. Walk the Line. There's no question. She loves that movie.
She's
And loves the
probably
performance.
watched it more than anybody else who's ever
No question.
existed.
No question. She can quote like it ain't nobody's business. And I'm like that is crazy too because it's Johnny Cash and he has this slow Southern drawl, but it draws you in. And Joaquin Phoenix did a hell of a job playing him, and so did Reese Witherspoon playing June. So I get that. I totally understand that.
I
A
love
bonus
that.
one just came up. A bonus one just came up in my mind though, Shelby, and I want to ask you this question real quick before I get to the rest of the this or that. That is, which music artist would you rather go see, The Weeknd or Post Malone?
Oh, probably the weekend. Weekend for me, all the way. I'm
Girl,
not a
where
post
the hell have?
hater, but
Oh my God! Oh my God! Where the hell have you been, Shelby? Have you been hiding under a rock? Cause girl, we are vibing right now. My
been hiding in New
gosh!
Mexico and then Arkansas.
I guess so. I mean, my gosh, I'm gonna have to take a trip because, girl, everything you're saying is on point. It's on point like a period. I'm just trying to tell you. So I love that. I
Appreciate
love
that.
that.
I love to
Now,
shout out my taste in music.
listen, you got great taste in music. Now let's see if we can keep this thing vibing, keep this thing going. Now we're gonna go to sports. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Would you rather watch baseball or hockey?
Oh, hockey all the way. I don't even need to know the rules of hockey to enjoy watching hockey. Baseball's one of those sports that I will say it is fun to watch a baseball game in person because it's like you go with some friends, you kind of watch the
For sure.
game, you chat, maybe you get some hot
For
dogs,
sure.
some brewskis. But
Yeah.
watching baseball on TV it's slow. I get it. I understand. I feel people's pain. Also, being from Colorado, I'm an obligatory Rockies fan, and that's just painful no matter what.
Yeah, you ain't never lied on that. But they definitely sugar honey iced tea. And you know the acronym on that. So that's so we can
And
move on from that.
hockey's just fun to watch, you know.
Mm.
I got to root for my Colorado team, the Avalanches. They're trying to go for another Stanley Cup right now, and
Yeah,
I got to
trying
root for
is
them.
the
They're
word right there.
trying.
Because boy, I tell you, They are getting BTA'd for real. And for those of you that don't know
Yeah.
the acronym for BTA, look it up because they definitely getting it. No question. Becca's nice putting it on them for sure.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
but nonetheless, I love that answer. Now, which sport of these two would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Oh, probably bowling. I feel like badminton is one of those sports that people love to hate on because they say like, "Oh, it's so easy," and then you go out and try to do it, and you realize that it's a lot harder than it looks. Whereas at
For
least
sure.
with bowling, I know I'm mid at bowling, so at least I know where I'm starting at, and that I can work from there. Whereas I haven't really tried badminton, and I feel like I would just look like a fool.
I feel that. Now, mind you, for the people that will watch this, when she says mid, I know y'all don't know what the hell she's saying, but when she says when she says words like mid, that means that she's not terrible, but she ain't all that great. She's somewhat in the mid, like in the middle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
She's
like
okay.
average.
Average, okay? So yeah, listen, I know the lingo, but we got to hey, people might look at you and be like, "What man, what?" They might say that, you know what I mean? So I gotta be able to advocate about that. But listen, I love that. Do you like desserts?
I love desserts. I
Okay.
definitely have a sweet tooth.
Okay, so I'm gonna name four categories of desserts. You have to choose one of these categories to get rid of that you'll never eat again. So here we
Ooh.
go. The first category is gonna be cookies. The second category is gonna be cake and pies. They're grouped together, cake/pies. The third category is going to be candy. The last category is ice cream. Which one are you getting rid of?
Ooh. Personally, I think candy's gotta go. I do enjoy my candy, but I definitely enjoy cookies, pies, cake, ice cream more.
I love it. I would have picked candy too, to be honest with you. Now, let me ask you this. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh. I don't know. I'm personally more of like a salted caramel fan. I think is the perfect mix of that like sweet and salty in a dessert.
Okay, okay. Well, listen, that's all right. I love that you said that because I would definitely leave that flavor on the shelf for you. I would have to walk past that. No question for you to pick up and get. My favorite flavor is cookies and cream. So cookies and cream is my
Cookies and
favorite flavor.
cream is a solid flavor. But if
Thank
I was
you. I
being
appreciate it.
bougie with it, since I spent some time in New England where Ben and Jerry's is all that, they
Oh
have a
yeah,
flavor that's like, um, it's called half
milk and
baked,
cookies.
but
Oh,
it's
okay.
like brownies and cookie dough bites and vanilla and
Yeah,
chocolate ice cream.
I
So
know
that's
exactly what you're
that's my
talking
bougie
about. Yeah.
pick.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, I grew up on Ben and Jerry, being from the West Coast as well. I grew up in San Diego, so Ben and Jerry was popular out there, no question. But also Baskin Robbins is where I went to a lot as well. I know some of y'all might not know what the hell Baskin Robbins is. Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors. There's not many of them left because you got all these new different ice creams out there, like Cold Stone and all those other stuff out there. But Baskin Robbins was popular for a good minute. But also I don't know if you remember this, Shelby, but there used to be I went to a store called Vons and like Thrifties and Albertsons and stores like that. When you go to the grocery stores and you went to the ice cream aisle, they used to have some of the best ice cream in those stores. When you used to go get it in a cup or the waffle cone, oh my gosh, they used to have some of the best. So I used to love going to stores like Thrifties and getting ice cream too. That was amazing.
Well, and personally, I grew up on Baskin Robbins and Cold Stone, so I feel like Cold
Okay.
Stone was kind of catching a stray right there. But I enjoy both of them equally.
Listen, I enjoy Cold Stone too, for sure. I do. I do. I just know that Baskin Robbins is, it's like Cold Stone's the remix, while Baskin
Yeah,
Robbins is the original. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. I love that. Now, do you like potato chips?
I do enjoy potato chips from time to time. Yeah.
Okay, so same format. I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to say, four different brands of potato chips. You have to choose one of these brands that you're going to get rid of. So here we go. The first brand is going to be Ruffles. The second brand is Lay's. The third brand is Doritos. The last brand is going to be Pringles. Which one are you getting rid of?
Well, Doritos and Pringles are a definite save for me because I do love both of those. And Lay's is kind of like hit or miss for me. I like it. And Ruffles, I just have never been a Ruffles fan. The Ruffles have ridges. Maybe it's a texture thing, but Ruffles has gotta go.
Oh hell no! See, Shelby, we was rocking all the way up
All
to
the
that
way
take,
to.
man. All the way to that take, we was vibing. We was going upstream. Now you done fell out the boat. I gotta put you down. You in the water. I gotta stick my hand out, get you back into the boat so you don't go upstream too with the
It's
water.
okay.
Like
Maybe you can convert me to the Ruffles side. Maybe I just haven't had Ruffles in a while. Gotta
I
try them
promise you, I
again.
will. If you will, I promise you, I will. Just give me some time. I'm telling you, just give me some time. I can do that. Now, mind you, I do like those other chips, and I understand it's a hard decision. But I want to ask you, if we're walking into a grocery store together, you and I say,
Mm.
Shelby, go to the chip aisle and buy your favorite chip. What chip are you buying?
Oh, if I'm being bad and like not thinking about the ingredients or what's in any of the chips, because honestly, if you're in the chip aisle, it really doesn't matter at that point. Like
Yeah,
nothing is
for
gonna
sure.
make the chips healthy.
A
Uh,
1000%. Yeah.
I'm going for some Cool Ranch Doritos.
Okay. That's not a bad pick. That's not a bad pick at all. I love that. I love Cool Ranch Doritos. Now, my favorite chip is Ruffles Barbecue. Um,
Okay.
no question. The
So
Ruffles Barbecue,
I see
yes,
you took my previous answer. That was personal. That felt personal.
it did. It did. It felt like you just putting. It felt like you just took the knife and then twisted it. Once you just did that, you know what I mean? Like the knife already in there, but you just twisted the
Just
knife to make sure.
twisted
That's about it. Yeah, just a little bit,
it.
but that's okay. That's all right. Like I said, you have a lot going for you. You're very talented. You work hard. You're very dedicated to your job. Beautiful as well. You can't have it all, Shelby. You just can't have it
That's what I
all.
said earlier. I'm not perfect. I've never claimed to be perfect. I just said I have good taste in music.
That's right. And just not good taste in chips, or all chips, I
I
should say.
guess not.
But that's okay. We're gonna fix that because, like I said, if you give me time, we'll fix that. But I do like your Cool Ranch of Doritos. I do like that. That's pretty good, no doubt. Now you did very good on this or that. I love that. Now I want to ask this next question. It's called bucket list. The reason why I wanted to call bucket list is because I want you to speak this into fruition. Okay. I want you to give me a top four list of events or stories you would like to do in your journalism career that you haven't done yet.
Top four things I haven't done. Well, since I got sports on the mind, I think going to a Super
Hello.
Bowl, either covering a Super Bowl or being like a camera operator at a Super Bowl,
Mm,
would be up there of like gotta do that at one point in my life. That would be
for
great.
sure. For sure.
Um, I think on the news side of things, getting to work on like an investigative journalism piece for one of like the big networks. So doing something for like ABC or like CBS Mornings or uh,
Yeah.
I watched there was a CBS Morning documentary that actually I forget if it won or was nominated for like at the Oscars for like best documentary short where it was
Right.
like the producer and the teams they went around to all these rooms of like kids who had died in school shootings and how like their
Okay.
rooms have been preserved like basically
Right.
frozen in time since the shootings and so working on like a hard-hitting investigative journalism piece that takes like a year or 2 years or 5 years to work on
Wow.
would definitely be up there.
Okay.
um and then I think like a cool feature piece. So when I say feature, usually that's like a focus on like one person,
For
or a
sure.
specific like group of people. So I think doing a feature piece on maybe like a human rights activist or somebody who's
Mm,
done a lot of like environmental research or like just like a bigger name person that if I said that name to you, you'd be like, oh, I know who that person is.
for sure.
Because I feel like now I've done like features on some cool people, but if I said their
Okay.
name, you'd be like, who? And I'd have to explain, like, oh, they kind of do this work in Arkansas, or they do this work in New Mexico, and it's cool, but like they don't have that name brand recognition.
I feel it. I feel it.
And I think number four, um, I love traveling. I would love to travel more. I would love to find a way to kind of integrate more travel into my job,
Yeah,
or work somewhere where I can also travel more.
yeah.
So I think working on a piece that requires international travel would
Oh yeah.
be my number four. Because I was just talking to our new chief photographer. He's been with us, I think, almost a year now.
Okay.
Of how he got to go to Beijing for the Olympics. Um,
Wow.
and obviously, since he was there with the news station and he wasn't there with NBC, like he didn't get to shoot the Olympics or anything, but they were kind of like there for a couple weeks, and they got to go to the Great Wall of China, and they got to do a bunch of like fun little interviewing people on the street type of stories. I would love to have one of those in my back pocket of, I'm on my deathbed and I'm like, yeah, that one time I got to travel, that was my favorite thing I ever got to do.
I love that. No, that's pretty dope. Of those four things. Now, I can personally tell you, Shelby, that the Super Bowl is something that is just out of this world. I had the privilege of going to New Orleans a couple of years ago and covering the Super Bowl when the Chiefs and the Eagles played, and it's
Mm.
6,500 of us, media people that's there. It's super
Wow.
big. Now, when you look at people on the podium, you look at the stars, like you saw Travis Kelsey, Jalen Hurts, and you saw those big time players and the coaches on the podium. However, a lot of people don't see the other 40 plus players that is on the field, and they're in the same vicinity as us. So we're all walking around each other, interviewing them, talking to them, but also you have media people talking to the players on the podium. It was just insane opening night. I had so much fun, but I also had a lot of fun because the media party. The media party was the very next night. Master P was the host of the media party, obviously being from New Orleans. And it was the first time I ever tried jambalaya, first time I ever tried gumbo,
Hey, and
first
you
time
said
I
you
ever
don't even
tried.
do spicy, and you had
I
jambalaya
don't.
and gumbo.
I did, and mind you, when I ate that, my ass was on fire. I mean, it was it was on fire. I was like, and I had a t-shirt on, I had jeans on. It was super. It was like I thought it was hot. It was supposed to be cold. It was cold there in February, but it was hot there in the building. And I was like, yo,
Hmm.
man, is it? I'm burning up in here. He's like, no, man, you just try a little something with some spice. So I was like, okay, I got you. 'Cause it was four of us that went. And I had to eat some alligator to get the taste out of my
Yeah,
mouth. So
since
I
since
had
you're
some
there,
alligator too.
you know.
Right, right. And all they specialized in was, spice food. They had Cajun chicken trucks as well. So the media party, you can get unlimited drinks and stuff like that. But that was the best thing about it. The second best thing was the convention center. When you think about Radio Row, meeting all those people, I got a chance to pass out a lot of business cards. I got a chance to meet a lot of media people that I seen on my TV the previous year. I am telling you, obviously you being in Arkansas, so Texas is probably close to you, very close to you, and I know they're gonna have another Super Bowl there. Jerry's World, they're definitely gonna have one in Dallas. They definitely gonna have one in Houston too, in that beautiful
Mhm.
stadium. I know a Super Bowl is coming, so you would definitely enjoy yourself and have the time of your life for sure, no question about that. So I can definitely attest to that. But I like your other three as well. I think the other three would be awesome, for sure. What is some advice, Shelby, that someone has gave you that you hold on dearly to?
I think I had a editing professor um, in college who was just talking about being able to push through when things get difficult. And I mean, obviously, this was like in regards to looking for jobs in the editing world, because post production for films, like, it's really competitive, and there's not a way more applicants than there are jobs. Um,
Right,
but I think it's kind of what you were talking about earlier, that it's cliche, but you might get 400 no's, and you just need that one yes.
for sure.
Um, so I think kind of having that mental fortitude, to know that if you give up early on, instead of like pushing through and dealing with the difficulties, that like you won't see that reward on the other side.
Right.
And I think also, like, she was just a big fan of, you know having a creative outlet. Like, she would say like, oh, I'm holding class over Zoom because like I'm walking along the Bosque today, which was the kind of forest that grows along the river around Albuquerque. So
Right.
I think that was kind of that work life balance too of, you know, going out in nature is a great way to kind of reset your body, reset your nervous system. If you like bird watch, go watch some birds, like listen to the birds, maybe see some deer, maybe just sit by the water. Like, I think a lot of people here, you know, I live in a landlocked state, or, you know, there's not enough nature around me, but, you know, I do miss the ocean. But even in Arkansas, we got lakes that you can go to, there's bluffs, there's a bunch of hiking trails. So, having
Don't they
art
got a city there
creativity.
called Pine Bluffs? Pine Bluffs?
Yeah, that's in like eastern Arkansas. Got
Okay.
bluffs all over.
Got you. I feel that. Okay, that's what's up. I love that.
So yeah, push
I want to.
through, have creativity and nature in your life. That's
I love it.
helped me a lot.
Yeah, no, that's dope. I really appreciate you sharing that advice that you was giving. That's awesome, and obviously you do an amazing job at what you do. Being calm, cool, and collected, which is something that you definitely got to be in this journalism industry because it is nothing but chaos going on in the news. You wake up to the news every day. There's something that our president is either saying or doing. There's something that people are doing in the local community that's crazy. But also sports is crazy too with some of the things that's going on there, with some of the just the different kind of meal situations that's going on in college and then obviously professional as well. So I totally understand that. I want to get you out of here on some rapid fire, which is a little different from this or that. So this or that, you pick something, but rapid fire is something where basically the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. First thing that comes to your mind, you shout it out with glee. Okay. No pun intended. So here we go. Let's rock out. Pancakes or waffles?
Oh, pancakes all the way. Waffles
Okay.
just take too much space.
Too much space. Okay. Here we go. Juice or soda?
Oh, juice. Even
I
though
got you.
grew up on soda, but I've become like a cold pressed juice fan. When it
Mm.
fits in the budget, I do love me some cold pressed juice.
Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good. I'm a big zero sugar type of guy now. So I do like my Coke Zeros whenever I do have that, or I like my Welch's Zero. I typically like the grape juice Zero, so I'm a big fan on that for sure.
Hey, I
Chicken or
will
ribs?
say real quick, I rib on our sports anchor all the time. Because I spent, you know, 2 weeks on the road with him, and that's all he would have. That's the only soda he would have was Coke Zero. You know, not
Hmm.
Diet Coke, but Coke Zero. And so we were
Yeah.
covering softball the other day, and the fridge is like fully stocked with like little Cokes, Diet Cokes, waters, Sprites, and then like 5 Coke Zeros. And so I joked with him that he took them all because the next day they were zero, and it's like nobody else is drinking them but you. So I know you squirreled away those 5 Coke Zeros.
Oh, my man stashed them. I feel it, bro. I feel it. You got to do what you got to do, man. If that's all you drink, that's all you drink. I am not against Diet Coke, by the way. I'm a
Yeah.
huge Diet Coke lover. I do like Diet Coke,
Mhm.
but yes, Coke Zero is my preference of choice for sure. Um, chicken or ribs?
Ooh. I guess my heart is on barbecue right now, so I gotta go with ribs.
I love it. I love it. Let's keep this thing going. Favorite Netflix TV show or television series on TV?
Oh, favorite show? I don't know. The thing that came to mind immediately was one of my comfort shows, which is Parks and Rec, which I think they took off of Netflix, which is super sad. But
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
keeping that mental health in check, find a funny show to watch. Like, it doesn't all have to be prestige drama TV. Let the people laugh.
Yeah. Yeah, Parks and Recs is a good one. Big Bang, I definitely enjoy watching the Big Bang Theory. That was one of my favorite shows for sure. Love to laugh on that show. And I'm an old school head too. So anything like with Martin or Fresh Prince or stuff like that, yeah, I'm rocking that too. No question. All right, I feel you on that. Favorite color?
Oh, purple. That one's an easy one. Purple's always been my color.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. Now, favorite alcoholic drink?
Ooh. I think usually when I go out, I get whatever is like whatever cocktail they have. I'm a cocktail girly. I'm not a
Okay.
huge beer fan. Um, Whatever they have mixed with gin. So usually it could be like some lime, some lavender, some gin with like some champagne. Whatever they mix together, that's my go-to drink.
Okay. Now I'm a huge Hennessy person, so I like my Hennessy for sure. You know what I'm saying? That's that tough like drink, but get some Coke. I'm with that. Or get some Jim Beam. Jim Beam is always pretty good too. I like some Jim Beam and Coke as well. Favorite sandwich.
Favorite sandwich. What is it called? It's Monte Cristo. It's
Okay.
my go-to sandwich. It's kind of like some hot ham and cheese with like some raspberry jam. It's like some Swiss cheese. It's really good.
Okay. Okay now. All right, that sounds good. I never had it, but it sounds good. Okay. Favorite board game.
Ooh, favorite board game? Definitely not Monopoly. I don't know. Might be kind of a obscure pick, but there's this game called Wingspan. That's probably my favorite board game to pull out when people come and play.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to Wikipedia that one because I've never heard of that one. Okay, okay, no
It's a
doubt.
newer
Favorite
game for sure, for sure.
oh newer game. Okay, I like that. Now favorite card game. What's your favorite card game?
Oh, favorite card game probably be Uno. I think Uno is such a fun game to pull out, like with a group of friends, because it can go quick. So that way, if you need just like a little time killer, or if you want to play multiple rounds. But I was at a friend's like bachelorette party thing, and they introduced me to this version of Uno. It's called like Uno Revenge or something, and so it's like all the
Yeah.
rules are like tripled. So there's like
Yep.
a +4, a +8, like a
Yep.
+10 card. There's some really crazy cards in there that's absolutely cutthroat, and I loved it.
Actually we play with two decks of Unos because that's what we do. Instead of getting the Uno Revenge, we just play with two decks of Unos, and then what we do is if you draw a zero, you have to go into reverse. If you put down a seven, you have to pick the person that you want to switch cards with. So if somebody just called Uno, you dead meat because you're gonna be switching cards with that person for sure,
See,
no
this
question.
this why you always gotta ask people if they got house rules, because I would just show up and not know what we're playing.
I feel that. I feel that. That's what's up. I like that. I like that. Okay. Now, if you had a choice to choose three people to go on vacation with you, so a total of four, three plus you, who would you choose and where would you go? Now, Shelby, before you decide, you can choose family, friends, or celebrities.
Oh, family, friends, or celebrities? Hmm. I think I would pick. Hmm. Okay, I thought I knew. Now I'm second guessing myself.
It's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
I
That
would
means it's a good
do
question.
my best friend Emma would come with me,
Oh,
and
shout out
then
Em.
shout out Emma, who's also an actor, like a music in musicals. So that's where I get my love of musicals from. Is all from her.
Okay. Okay.
um, I
I
gotta
might
pick.
have to get Emma on this podcast for sure. I love to hear her story. That's for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Um, my other friend Beatrice, who goes by Bia. So I think me, Emma, and Bia would bring Chapel Roan with us, and we would go somewhere tropical and have like a tropical
Hmm.
vacation. Maybe like Thailand. Like we go to Thailand and we just have the time of our lives. And also Chapel
Hmm.
Roan would do like mini concerts for us.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's what's up. I like that. I like Thailand because Thailand is something that's in my bucket list. One day I would love to go there for sure, no question. If you had a choice to pick three songs or three artists to listen to on repeat and never get tired of, who are those three artists or three songs that you would listen to?
Well, I already mentioned her, but I think Young the Giant has got to be on the list.
Okay.
Um, That was the easy one, but now I know I only have two left.
Two left that you never get tired of, that you can listen to forever, 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 ever.
Forever, forever. Nothing else ever again. Um,
Right.
might be an out of the ballpark pick, but I would throw John Williams on there, who's
Who?
arguably the goat of film scores and film composing, and it has such like a
Hmm.
huge array of music that he's done.
Okay. Okay.
Um, plus, that adds to the like work life balance. I listen to movie scores. Great way to just calm
Hmm.
down, reset.
I feel it.
And then number three.
Number three.
Hmm. I don't know. This hard.
I got you stumped. I got you stumped. Oh, I love it.
I don't know. I
Okay.
feel like I'm not always the hugest like pop fan, but I feel like I gotta throw a pop artist in there so that I don't get
Okay.
too down with the other music.
Okay.
So maybe like a Billie Eilish. We'll throw Billie in there.
Hey, listen, I like the song Lovely. I like the song When the Party's Over, one of my favorite songs of hers, no question. And then obviously uh dun 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 dun. I don't know the name of the song, but
Yeah, I'm
I
awful with
like that.
names of songs,
I'm
but I know
awful
what
with
you're
that,
talking
but that
about. Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about though, right? That's one of my favorites of hers too, for sure. But yes, you got some great taste, no question. Now, if I ask you, what is another genre that you would like to cover outside of news? Out of these three genres, which one would you pick? Would you pick entertainment, travel, or sports?
Ooh. I think previously, like Shelby a few years ago, would have jumped on entertainment, but I think Shelby now would say sports because it grows on me more and more every day.
I'm
Um,
with you on that.
and
Come on.
especially with what you're talking about with like politics, and it's scary to read new headlines every day, but
Hmm.
sports is always gonna, as things stand right now, sports is always going to be there. People are always going to be wanting to watch sports,
Yes,
which sucks that places like the Washington Post completely axed their entire sports department.
they did.
Um, that I think was stupid because sports is in demand and will be in demand.
Right.
Um,
No question. And Washington D.C. is one of the prominent cities of sports, where you don't have many cities out there in the U.S. that have a big time following with collegiate teams and professional teams. Right? The Washington area have the Capitals, they have the Wizards, they have the Nationals. Baltimore Orioles is right over there as well. Not to mention the Mystics, the WNBA team. But they also have great colleges in Georgetown. George Washington's over there. Just stuff like that, and you feel sad for that because it's such a great sports town.
yeah.
And not to mention the Commanders that's in Washington as well. So they got a great football team. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that how they diversely cover their sports now with the Post getting axed or 86 for sure. But I like that. I like the fact you come on the sports because Shelby, we would love to have you. Just come on with it. Come on with it. We would love to have you for sure. Now, what is the sport that Shelby would play that she would absolutely dominate in?
Well, I think since it's the only sport I've ever played, in my short-lived high school career, I would say softball. Like it's the one I have the most experience with, and
Okay,
it's the one now like I kind of miss. I don't have the chance to play with a team, so I'm missing that team dynamic. But we do
sure.
have batting cages here in Northwest Arkansas that I hit up, or I try to hit up like once a week. Um, I'm not gonna say they're
Mm,
all homers, but I still got it.
okay, now. All right, now. That's all I need to hear. If you still got it, that's what so you can go ahead and go get it. I'm with you on that. I like that. Okay. Now I got to ask the opposite. What is the sport that you would play that you would absolutely be bad at?
I'd absolutely be bad at basketball. Like I said, it's really fun to cover. I enjoy watching it. But every day I hear about, these group of guys at work that they go to the rec center and they play together, and they talk
Yeah.
about, how a couple of the coworkers take it way too seriously. and act like they're playing in the NBA when it's just a pickup game at the rec center. And
Oh,
I'm
for
not
sure.
about that life. Like, I've never really played basketball, played it well in my life. I would be happy to, maybe we play a little pig. We just we have fun with it. Like, I'm not trying to actually break my ankle before work. So,
Listen, well, first of all, if you are still there in the next year or two in Arkansas, no question, I would definitely play pig with you because I'm definitely coming out that way for certain. No question. I've yet to hear anybody on my podcast say pig, and that's dope. I love it. Normally, you hear people say horse like the normal pig. I love that. I played pig growing up, so I feel
yeah.
that. But also, speaking from a man's perspective, and I'm not sure if it's just men that's talking to that office, but if it is just men, yeah, it has a lot to do with ego and stuff like that. People love to just be able to talk about how good they are and how great they did in the rec league. And like, bro, it's a rec league. Like nobody's really taking this like sugar honey iced tea seriously. Like
Yeah.
really? Like we're just out here trying to bust a sweat, trying to get some calories off, trying to have a good time, stay active and stuff like that. I like to play recreationally at times, but I'm more so like you, to the point. Like yeah, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm good. I'm good with covering it. Let's play some pigs. Let's play some horse. Let's shoot around a little bit. Let's do that. I ain't trying to be going out here breaking no ankles, break nothing like that. But basketball is definitely my favorite sport. A sport that I could not play though ever is hockey.
Oh,
God
yeah.
bless those. I can't skate. I can't skate. I tried it many times. People say, well, you should get lessons. The person that's giving me lessons will get tired of it. They'll just walk the hell out because it's just no use. I can't stop on ice. I can't stop on the road. So, nah, we know our limitations. No skates for me. So I'm good. But this has been a really, really dope conversation, Shelby. I'm learning about your why of growing up, obviously, in Colorado, making the transition to the East Coast to go to college because of film, and but being able to pivot into journalism and turn that passion into a new passion of journalism, going to New Mexico, also transitioning from New Mexico to Arkansas. Like you've been to multiple places and seen multiple cultures and done multiple things and done a ton of different stories, right? And I love that. I love just being able to talk to people who's experienced life like that and who's also doing it very passionately and very successfully where you're at. I am a new fan of yours. I wish you nothing but continued success in your future endeavors. And I really do thank you for allocating your time to me to be on my podcast and talk to me a little bit. And my final question to you is there anything else you would like to share about yourself, journalism, the job, or anything at all before we conclude?
I think the last thing I would like to share is just kind of the importance of journalism and especially local journalism, whether that's covering like city council meetings or covering a high school sports team,
Sure.
or covering an up and coming organization that needs volunteers. Like, I don't think there's been a time in my lifetime that I can remember where journalism and the free press has been so under attack. Um,
Right.
and so the best thing people can do is, support your local media, support your local nonprofits that are, I know it's cliche, but like supporting NPR, supporting PBS. PBS is still here. They lost their, federal funding, but they still exist. They're still trying to get programming to kids in underserved communities. And yeah, I just want to shout out local media. I never knew it was going to become, as big a part of my life as it is, but it means so much to me. And I would be absolutely devastated to watch, local media kind of die in my lifetime, which unfortunately is kind of the way that it's headed. If, every corporate entity is, bought out by another corporate entity, is bought by a bigger corporate entity, then everything
Right.
comes from the top down, and there's not really independent journalism anymore. So I would say people gotta fight the good fight, and that includes sports too. Like I said about the Washington Post, they cut a whole department just for
Yep.
sports in an area which you mentioned has a huge diversity of sports. So if they
Right.
can cut it there, they can cut it anywhere. And I would hate to see that happen.
I love that. I really do. And yeah, consolidation, it's happening all around us. And especially with the publications out there, the newspapers are just dying a slow death, death of a thousand paper
Yeah,
cuts,
death of a thousand
all
cuts.
across. All across the world. No question about that. And that's something that's very personal to me and special to me because that's where I got my start. I started in publications, covering different stories and writing feature stories and games and sports and teams. And it's definitely near and dear to me. And I understand we want to go more digital. I get that. But you can't lose sight of local journalism and how much it does impact communities and how much people still crave for that. They still crave for local journalism. Like they still want to be in the known of what's going on in their community and what is transpiring, like what's new, what's happening, and stuff like that. So, yeah, to echo what Shelby is saying, please support your local reporters, anchors, journalists in the area. We need it, no question about that. Shelby, thank you again for being on my podcast. I really do appreciate it. I want you to enjoy your rest of your Monday evening. You and I will most certainly be in touch because you're amazing. There's no question about that. And we will definitely talk soon.
But yeah, of course, thank you for having me on the podcast. This was a great opportunity, and I'll definitely be staying in touch and, following your career as well, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Shelby. You take care and have a good night.
You too.